Right. So, what we are discussing today about business analyst from the technical perspective, because as we see in the industry, there are different business roles we can see, especially in reference to the job market. Usually, business analyst roles, I'm writing here. If you have any questions, you can ask. Is it clear?
Sure.
So, business analyst roles will be categorized into two parts. On a high level note, I'm not going to detail
Yeah, it's
because
clear so
that's
far.
not something related. Okay, detail thing is not
Mm-hmm.
needed. On a high level note, I'm explaining.
Okay.
So one is about functional
Okay.
roles. The first
Okay.
role is called functional business analyst. Second, we call it as technical business analyst.
Okay.
Okay, one is about functional BA roles. Second is a technical business analyst roles. Now, the
Okay.
functional business analyst means whatever the activity of a business analyst we do, that remains constant. Okay, that never changes. But this individual should have functional experience. This individual
Okay.
should have functional experience. Let's say, for example, let me take you into an account, right? For example, being an individual, you have experience in the financial analysis side, where you worked as
Mm-hmm.
a financial analyst for XYZ company.
Mm-hmm.
Now you had a career graph of about, assume that, I'm just giving you the rough figure, right? Assume that you have 10 years of experience in financial analyst role or
Okay.
financial analysis, wherein you are experienced in understanding about the financial performance of the organizations. Maybe you may be, for example, I'm not detailing your job description. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you may be part of underwriting, or you may be part of risk analysis, financial statement analysis. Maybe you will be providing some financial advisory services, right? So this is all something, negotiations, etc. All these things will be done by you. Okay. Now, functional business analyst means people, whoever is having experience as far as the business analyst role is concerned. Against
Mm-hmm.
to that, apart from that, they need to have some functional knowledge. Why functional knowledge? Because if you take any IT company, IT services, IT
Mm-hmm.
organization, IT organization provide two kind of services. One is
Okay.
software services. Software services means for client. For example, let's take a financial company or a bank or a financial institution. If they want any application to develop, right, by someone, or if they have any business problem, so these services will be provided by either IT vendor. Okay, exclusive for a particular customer, they develop it.
Mm-hmm.
Second, they develop products, different products. Sometime back I asked you, right? So different products are using any applications or not, right? So I asked you.
Yeah.
You have told some applications also. Okay.
Yeah.
So these applications, assume that these are the products which they are hiring from outside. Okay. So either
That's correct.
when you are thinking this, or when you are seeing this from the IT company's perspective, either it can be services related stuff, or else project based or a product based. There must be some intermediary who should understand about the functional aspects of the customer. Okay, functional aspects. Because let's say, for example, you are a BA, you are working for an IT company, wherein you want to provide some
Mm-hmm.
solutions for a financial services company to understand their business problem, etc. First of all, you should have to understand about business problem, objectives, goals, and all. First of all, you need to know how that organization functions and how the structure
Yeah.
of the organization, irrespective of the size. Okay, I am not specifying it. So, what kind
Mm-hmm.
of rules and regulations, these are all will be implemented in the organization. That sort of knowledge is something essentially required to you. Am I right? Okay. Right. So
Yes.
if you know that the functional aspect of the structure of the financial institution, then it is easier for you to connect with the stakeholders so that you can extract the information from them. So based on that, you can provide a business solution. Understand, right?
Okay.
So if you
Yes.
are a BA, Functional skills is what something you must be good with. Now, second role is called as technical BA. Whatever we are about to discuss in our sessions in coming days is about technical BA. So how different the technical business analyst? As I mentioned you, whatever the skill set of a business analyst we require, that remains constant. It never changes.
Yeah.
But what else apart from that? Knowing about the technology. For example, individual who understands or implement some technical elements which are required as part of the project. As part of the project. I will give you an example to you. Just give me a minute.
Yeah, take it.
Right? So as a part of the project. Now, I'll give you an example. Let's say we are developing an application for a financial services company. Okay. So what being a BA we do, we gather the requirements initially and we provide the solutions. That structure I will explain you later, right? So what is that we do as a BA? I will explain it later. Okay. Now, this is what generally the role you are doing. Now, what is that you require? As part of developing coding for a particular business logic, developers are there who develop the logics and all everything. But as part of the report generation itself is concerned, if you want to extract some information from the data, right? So there are some queries we have to write. So this is where generally SQL come into picture. SQL, structured query language, we call it as. So structured query language is something, it's a kind of query languages because there are different languages will be there in the field of IT.
Right.
So one language is called query language. The major advantage in query language is to extract some information, extract from the information for the database, whatever is required. I'll give you an example. Let's say you are working for a financial institution or a bank. You have hundreds and thousands and lakhs of customer data. Now you want to extract as part of your business reporting, as part of your business decisions or understanding for whatsoever reason. You require to have a report in such a way. You want customers, whoever is having savings account with the age group of between 35 to 45. Whoever is maintaining average $500 in every quarter, right? You want to know that, for example, for some business decisions, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, how can you do that if you are a user? There are some queries we have to write. So when we are writing the queries, there is a possibility where we can extract the information from the database. Okay. So this is one example which I can say the reason why, for example, understanding about SQL. SQL is what something being a BA you have to be good with. Understood? First. Second, as in when I mentioned you about the data, right? So I'm discussing about the data. I'm discussing about the data formation, right? So all these things. As far as the reporting is concerned, data visualization plays a vital and important role. How you are going to visualize the data, to what extent are you visualizing the data is something essentially important. So for the data visualization part, there are different tools we use, something like Tableau, Power BI, right? So different tools will be used. So these tools, like any one I can say, right? So either it can be Tableau or Power BI, but what is that we are discussing is about Power BI, of course. So understanding about Power BI is something essentially required for us. Why? Because whenever we are working being a business analyst, there are some report generations we have to prepare. We have to prepare some reports, etc. All that. On that grounds, having a knowledge over Power BI is one of the key and prominent element. Being a business analyst from the technical side, you must be good with. This is point number 2. Next one about programming, because normally,
Yeah,
as I mentioned you, please go ahead.
no, it's very
Let me connect to the mobile
very-
data. Just give me a minute. Is it audible now to you?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, right. So SQL is something required. Why SQL? Because SQL is the one which will be used to extract the data wherein by writing queries like insert, update, delete, right? All that can be done.
Right.
Next, there are some data visualization tools, something like Power BI. All these things are also required because if you want to create any kind of dashboards for the reporting purpose, etc., Power BI is something which is required for you being a business analyst. Okay. Now, as in when I discussed about SQL, I told you there are different languages. Yes, sir. Right.
Yes.
Now, let me explain you what are the languages will there be in the IT. But do remember, as a disclaimer, I'm mentioning you, whatever the languages I'm specifying you, this is not something mandatory. All these things be you being a business analyst in technical side. It doesn't mean it. This is in reference to what are the different languages will be there in the field of IT. On that context, I'm explaining this to you. Okay. Now, then after
Okay.
that, I'll continue. What else required being a technical team? Okay. Now, when we are talking about the languages, especially in IT, are as follows. The first one is called markup languages.
Okay.
First one is called markup languages. Second, we call it as modeling languages. Next, we call it as programming languages. Irrespective of language here, okay? I'm not specifying which language, etc. All that, okay? Irrespective, programming languages.
Okay.
Next is query languages. Okay, these are the different languages in the field of IT we use. In the field of IT development, we use different languages. We not as a BE, underline this point. We as a IT sector, IT industry, as a team, I'm mentioning this. Okay, this explanation is not something confined only to the role of the BE. Okay, this is in general
Okay.
in the field of IT, I'm explaining to you. This is all something essentially required when you want to transform yourself into a technical BA. This sort of understanding is needed because it's not only about what is that you want to do and what that is that you require and what is that you know, but it is also required for you to understand what other people are doing and why they are doing. Okay, because being a business analyst, our major role is to interact with the stakeholders. So these
Right.
stakeholders can be anyone, right? So because usually stakeholders will be of different types. Either it can be an external stakeholders, it can be internal stakeholders also.
Okay.
It's business owner, project sponsor, subject matter experts. It can be a project management team. It can be a development team, testing team, user interface designers, right? So architects, people who develop solutions for the projects and all that. So business architects, enterprise architects, solution architects. So different architect roles are there. So hence it is essentially important for a business analyst when they wants to transform their role towards technical side, technical business analyst, if we want to project ourselves and all, what are all the elements in the reference to the languages we have is something we need to know. On that context, I'm explaining this to you. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in the field of languages of IT, one is called markup languages.
Mhm.
Markup languages are the one which will be used to create user interfaces. Okay.
Okay.
Right. User interfaces or front face of the project or front end, I can say, right? Front end or front face development of the project. Understood. Okay. Any questions you can ask me, right? This is all something we call it as markup languages transfer.
Okay.
Nowadays, this is where generally in technical terminologies, we call it as full stack development. Nowadays, that's how generally we are calling it as. Full stack development means normally if you are developing an application, usually, I
Okay.
will explain you. If any application, if we develop, any application will have 3 layers. Any application we have 3 layers. One is presentation layer.
Okay.
One is presentation layer. Means what is that you can see it on the screen. That's what we call it as presentation layer transfer.
The one which is easily accessible to the
Right.
user.
So for input, I can say you are giving an input. For example, login page, you have a login page where you are giving user ID password so that you are entering into the application. Okay.
Mhm.
Understood. Right, Nikita. Right.
Yes. Yes.
This is what we call it as presentation layer. Okay. What you can see it on the screen is called presentation layer. Second,
Correct.
business logic layer. Business logic layer means presentation layer, what you see on the screen and used as a input, used as a input by a user. Understood, Nikita, right? This is what presentation layer. Whatever that you can see
Right.
on the screen is called presentation layer.
Mm-hmm.
Second, business logic layer. When we want to develop a business logic for a particular functionality, okay, particular functionality, we need to write a code which system understands. Okay, for example, you and me are speaking in a language called English. Yes,
Yeah.
this is of interacting between two humans, right? So if we want to interact between two humans, we are using different languages. Either it can be English or any other regional languages, etc. Am I right? This is a language.
Okay.
This is where generally we are instructing. I'm instructing you and you're instructing me, right? This is what we are doing it. But how do you instruct the system to perform a particular functionality? This is where generally code will come into picture.
Okay.
Understand? If you want to interact with the system, how do you interact? You have to interact the system the way which it understands. How it understands, that is where generally this coding comes under picture. Whatever the programming languages I was mentioned you, this is where generally this comes into picture.
Okay.
Understood, Nikita, right?
Yeah. So we have a different set of people who will be working on the coding, right? Or
Yes.
would it be that technical
Coding,
business analyst
coding
will be
people, coding people,
coding people?
coding people.
Okay.
I will tell you that. That I'll tell you later. Okay.
Okay.
Right. This is where business logic layer. I'll give you an example to you. For example, you are a user. You are a user. So you have given 1 plus 2 equal to, when you press the enter button, you get the result as 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there is a on screen, you see, you want to do some calculation for addition. So you have given 1. Next, you have selected plus symbol. Next, you have given 2, where you have entered. What is the number you got? You get the number as 3. Am I right?
Right.
2 plus 2 equal to 3. Now, being a user, are you calculating it online manually? No, right? How system has understood this? Because there is a program. This is where we call it as business logic transfer.
Okay.
Business logic implemented by whom? Developer will implement. What developer will write for a function? What is the business logic here? Here, the business logic is adding two numbers.
Okay.
The
That's
business logic
correct.
is adding it two numbers. Okay. If you want to implement this business logic, there must be some code will be written by the developer. Understand?
Correct. Yes.
So 1 plus 2 means there are some development team. Development team responsibility is to write the code for a particular business logic, which is called adding of two numbers. 1 plus
Okay.
2 equal to 3. It is not 1 plus 2 equal to 3. It can be 500 plus 300 also.
Correct.
500 plus 300. So what was the instruction they have given? They have given an instruction called adding two numbers.
Right.
And they specified, sometimes they may specify it can be single digit, it can be double, it can be triple, it can be more than that. 4 also, 4 digits. Right? It can be of anything. But the instructions, being a developer, by writing the code, they are giving adding two numbers is what something we call it as coding. Right? This is where it happens under the business logic layer.
Okay.
Understood, Nikita? Right?
Yeah.
Now, the third layer we call it as data layer. Third layer we call it as data layer. Here, whatever the data we are providing, this must store in some repository. This
Okay.
store in some repository. This is where generally database come into picture.
Okay.
Right? For example, Oracle, SQL, right? So these are all different databases we use. Means, for example, you are giving a customer, you are giving some input, right? Some customer records were mentioned by you, entered through form. Where it will store? It will store in the database. Okay. So for that, what is required? You required some data layer to create. So if you are developing any application will have 3 layers. Am I right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, whatever the presentation layer, this one, these people in industry, we called as UI and UX designers. We call them
Okay.
as UI and UX designers, user interface or user experience designers. So these people
Okay.
are responsibility, and these people are expertise in developing the user interface design for the project.
Mm-hmm.
Understood? Clear? Right? They do
Yes.
that. Now, to develop the logic, there are developers who write code for the business logic, right? Using Java, okay, Python, etc.
Okay.
Understood? Clear to you,
Yeah.
Nikita? Right?
Yes. Yes.
Business logic. Now, data layer. So for this, you require some database administrators or database professionals, DB team. Okay. So earlier, if you see in the industry till earlier, in recent past, there used to be a person who is working for IT industry, user interface designers as separate, business developers as separate, at the same time data layer, data process professionals as separate. That's how earlier was. Now, a person wants to work in the field of IT in reference to the technology I'm talking about, okay? I'm not talking about the technical field, technology.
Okay.
This is where nowadays we are calling it as full stack developers. We are using
Okay.
the word called full stack developer. Full stack developer means developer, whoever is having experience in all these 3 areas. That full stack developer should have presentation layer experience to design with. They should able in a position to write code for the project. Even database knowledge and database creation, maintenance, everything should be there. for a particular individual. Understood, Nikita? Right?
Yes.
Right. So now coming back to the point, this is where generally markup languages are. Means
Okay.
if you create this presentation layer, whatever the languages we use is called markup languages. Okay. For example, earlier, of course, even till now, we are using some markup languages called HTML.
HTML. Yeah.
Okay. HTML, hypertext markup language, we call it as. Next, DHTML, which is called dynamic hypertext markup.
Hypertext markup language.
So these are, that's where, if you remember, when you speak in industry, they say that this is an HTML page, right? This is a PHP
Yeah.
page. They say that, right? That because even on URL also you can see, whenever you see in URL, in last of the URL you can see there, right? Over there you can see dot
Yes.
.html, dot .php. That's how you can see it. Am I right? So whatever the particular page was created, this page was created using HTML, DHTML, all that. At the same time, to create this front page slate and all that, everything, this layers and all everything, they use PHP also. PHP. Nowadays, when it comes to the front end development, as just now I have spoken to you, we are using what React.js. There is a tool called React.js, which React.js is the one which will be used to create front end, etc. All that nowadays from the front end full stack development perspective nowadays, because industry changes and a lot of new technologies comes into picture. Okay, right? So now markup languages means markup languages are the one which will be used to create user interfaces, right? So HTML, DHTML, all these are comes under markup languages. Okay. Next, modeling language. If we want to visualize the if you want to visualize the functionalities, okay, if you want to visualize the functionalities, okay, we use this modeling language. Understood? Clear? Modeling language means, let's say for example, you are one of an employee where you are working for some finance based project, right? For some financial application or core banking, some online banking application you are developing. Now like this, there are 10 people are there. Now, for example, we are developing an online banking application. Okay. Assume that all of you 10 people are very good in technology. You are very good at technology. But you don't know how exactly an online banking functions on a high level way. You don't know. You don't know. Right? Because you are a developer. You know how to write a logic for a particular business logic, write a code for a particular business logic. This is where you are trained and experienced of. But unfortunately, what you don't have experience, you don't have an experience what application of online banking consists of, how it functions externally. Okay. First of all, that you have to know. So to visualize that, there are some visualized languages we have to use. This is where we call it as modeling languages. For example, UML, right, which stands for Unified Modeling Language. Yeah. Using this UML and all, there are different diagrams people will prepare. There are a lot of diagrams: use case, class diagram, object diagram, component, deployment, sequence, collaboration, activity, etc. Right? These are the diagrams. So each and every diagram has its own prominence that we discuss it when it is required. Okay, that's not related now. Okay, this is modeling languages. Third one about programming language. Programming language when we want to develop a business logic for a functionality, we want to use some programming language
Okay.
like Java, Python, etc. Understood, Nikita? Right? Python, etc.
Yes.
So Java normally will be used for web applications, client server applications, enterprise applications. Normal regular applications and all, Java will be used. But whereas when it comes to Python and all, everything will be used for the data analysis related projects. Means some projects which are majorly confined to the data related stuff. Means data analysis related projects, right? So if you want to extract the data, right? So data related projects are there, where data is the primary aspect in their projects. So for that kind of projects, normally we go for Python. Means data analyst team, people who are working on the data analysis side, all these people go for Python. People
Okay.
who are using other applications like web applications, client server, remote applications, enterprise. So these people uses Java as a programming language. Okay.
Okay.
So like this, there are a lot of programming languages. We call it as Kotlin. Kotlin. Right. So there are different languages like Ruby, right? So there are a lot of languages we have. Ruby, etc. Right. So these are the programming languages. Now query languages. What query languages? If we want to extract any information from the database, what we have created, right? So for that, query languages we use. For example, SQL. Understood? Clear, Nikita?
Yes. Yes. It's kind of like a database management, right? Where the
Database
information
management
is
initially
stored.
we create database management system first for any project. After
Mhm.
that, to understand the database management system, you need to provide some instructions to the database. On what
Right.
basis you give? Through query languages by writing some queries so that database will understand what instructions you have given. Subsequently, it will give you the required result to you on the screen.
Okay.
Clear to you?
Yes.
Right? Now, coming back to the role of a technical BA, right? So this why I have explained this detailed explanation to you being a technical business analyst is,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, when you talk about the role of a BA, first of all, let me explain you. Now I'm going back to the role of a business analyst. What being a BA you do? So activities of a business analyst in any industry, okay? I'm not specifying any industry, okay? Because every industry, almost the responsibilities and roles of a business analyst remains constant, okay?
Okay.
As follows. What is that you do? First, you try to understand the business problem or problems. It can be one or it can be many. Point number one. Second, you need to understand the business objective. You need to understand the goals. You need to understand the business need. At the same
Okay.
time, you need to understand the scope of the project.
Okay.
Understood? Right?
Yes.
I'll give you an example for this. Let's say there is a financial institution. They
Mm-hmm.
required some core banking application. What core banking application is? Core banking is an application which will be used by a banks or a financial institutions to manage back-end operations. Do you agree on that?
Yeah.
It is being used for that purpose. Now, a customer is having an existing core banking application. Underline this point. Listen carefully. There is a existing core banking application was already there.
Okay.
But this application was developed way back 20 years back, way back in the year of 2000, before that. Whatever the features, functionalities were mentioned in the core banking, assume that, okay, it's assumption based. Assume that whatever it was developed, the kind of features, functionalities, the kind of technical specification, either it can be hardware or software, what we have used for that particular application is very old. Okay. Now, in last 23, 24 years, if you see, there is lot of transformation happened in business activities, their strategies, right? So everything has changed phenomenally. So now customer is unable to work on this existing application because whatever the desired features and functionalities they want at the present business condition was not there in the application. Am I right?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, a generalized example to you. You will understand. Let's say, for example, you are using iPhone now. Okay. Before iPhone, we used to have QWERTY keypad mobiles, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Why are you not using
BlackBerry?
QWERTY keypad now? Why don't you use that? Because mobile is for incoming calls and outgoing calls. Why are you not using QWERTY keypad mobile?
Because it did not have, it does not have advanced features now compared to the
Why?
iPhone.
Why it's not advanced features? Because whatever the personal and professional experience required to you, that existing QWERTY keypad mobile is not performing. Am I right or not?
Correct. Yes.
So when there is a transformation going on, we used to use QWERTY keypad mobiles at what point of time.
Yeah.
Now we are using Androids, we are using iPhones, Google phones, etc., etc. Right? That's how the transformation.
Right.
Nowadays depends on the professional as well as the professional, personal and professional experience and as well as demands. We are using mobiles. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But point to be noted. Basic reason of using mobile is for only for one thing, receiving calls and making calls. This is a
Yeah.
fundamental usage of a mobile. Will you agree?
Right.
Right. Either it can be a direct call, it can be a WhatsApp call, serving, right?
Yes.
It can be of anything. Fundamental usage of a mobile is to receive calls and making calls outside. Yes, sir. Right. So if you are a business analyst, right? What is that you need to know? First of all, you need to understand why the existing mobile customer is not using, why customer wants some advanced feature related stuff. That sort of understanding is required. Am I right?
Correct. Yes.
In the same manner, whenever, let's say, come back to the core banking application as I specified you, in reference to the core banking, there is an existing core banking application, but it is not performing the results what they expect in their business activity in today's environment.
Right.
It doesn't mean you are not changing the core element of core banking. The core element of core banking never changes, never changed. It won't be changed. It shouldn't be changed. Okay.
Right.
What you are doing, you require some add-ons to be made to the existing ones. If you want to add something, what you need to know, first of all, you need to understand the problem which they are facing now. Understand?
Yes.
If you want to understand the business problem, you need to understand the business situation also. From the client side, okay? Business situation, business problems. Next, the kind of solution you are going to give is not only for present problems. You need to consider the future requirements also into consideration. Am I right? Because customer is using some X amount of money For what purpose is he using some X amount of money? Because
That
he
it should
wants some
come
X
work
amount
till
of
the long
money,
run.
return of investment. He expects some ROI out of it. Am I right? Or not? Return of investment.
That's right. Of course.
Some X amount of money I'm putting on some application you to develop. Whatever my present and future needs must sustain and must satisfy in this application. Then only whatever I paid for you will be having a value. Otherwise, there is no value for that.
Correct.
Agreed, Nikita? Right? So,
Yes.
understanding about the business goals, objectives, and need of the customer is also one of the core element. Being a BA, you need to be performing. Next point. Scope. What does it mean by scope? Possibility. Scope nothing but possibility. Possibility means if you want to develop the application, do you have enough infrastructure? Do you have enough manpower? Do you have enough timelines? Do you have enough budget? Are you gathering all the requirements? Are these requirements per specific enough to develop the solution or not? Is there any additional requirements which may come in future? How you are going to address those? Do you have the access to gather all the required information from the customer? Are these requirements are specific enough to develop the solution or not? This is all something we talk about scope of the project.
So the business analyst needs to understand the ability of the client here. Is it like
Absolutely.
that?
Yes. The
Okay.
reason why
Okay.
I'm writing all these points.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay, great. Right. Next, after scope of the project, next, you need to understand from here, okay, based on these elements, what they have discussed with you. So that what is that you have to do if you want to understand the problem and problems, you need to understand the existing system first.
Correct.
This is what we call it as ASI. Based on that, what proposed system we want to develop, this you will be understood, clear, right?
Yeah. Yes.
This is what we call it as to be, right? Existing system as is, so that based on the existing system, proposed system. Okay, because say let's say Quality Keypad Mobile, whatever the features were not there in Quality Keypad Mobile, that will be there in Android and that will be there in iPhones. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So when can you do that? When you understand the structure of an Quality Keypad Mobile, then only you can enhance it. If you don't know about this, how can you do that? Agree, Nikita?
Yeah. We can't do it without
Right.
that.
So existing and proposed scope of the project. By considering all these, we need to come up with a business solution. We need to come up with some business solution. Now, let's say you have identified some features and functionalities whichever required for a core banking was identified by you, being a BA and your team. Now, what is that we want? This has to be make it into reality. Reality means what? This has to be implemented. So if
Yes.
you want to implement this, what is that required? This business solution must be converted into a technical solution. Am I right?
Yes. It should be taken internally and discussed with the.
Absolutely. So business solution must be converted into a technical solution.
Correct.
Okay. So for this, we interact with technical team. Okay. It can be
Yes.
development team. Okay. Means I'm writing micro level. Okay. It can be testing team, right? It can be with architects. Again, these architects, we have different people, right? Business architects, systems architects, application architects, data architects, solution architects, all that. This is all on a high level note. I'm writing all that because these
Okay.
are detailed unique. We don't require all that, right? So right? So you will be interacting with all these people. Based on that, okay, how and what technical solution we need to develop, followed by how. Okay, clear, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Understood. So when you can convert it, you have presented this business solution to the technical team's table. Now this is what the solution I am expecting. Customer wants this. Now you tell me how to develop this. So there are a lot of factors are involved in it, right? So technical factors we have to see what was the existing technology, right? So the same technology we want to use or a new technology. If you are using a new technology, to what extent the technology is compatible for the present needs. Next, we need to see the budget, how much budget allocated for the project. We need to see the constraints, dependencies, assumptions, dependencies, constraints, risks, feasibility, right? So we need to consider all the aspects and we have to convert this business solution to the technical solution.
Okay.
From once you have converted into technical solution, in this process, to communicate all these, we prepare documents. We prepare documents
Okay.
like BRD, SRS, functional requirements, non-functional requirements documents, etc.
Okay.
Understood, Nikita? Right?
Yes.
This is all part of because how can I communicate with you? Because project is very larger in size. I cannot communicate everything orally, right? Which is not something possible for you to understand being a team. When I'm reaching to the masses, I should use some communication medium to do that. This is where documents and all we prepare.
Okay.
So nowadays we are working on agile environment, hence we are writing user stories. That is next. That is different. Okay, that we discuss it in coming days. Okay, user stories. Understood, Nikita? Clear?
Yeah.
Now, once you have given, from here onwards, developers will do all this, whatever I have told you, right? So this modeling, right? So all these things will be taken care of by them. Okay, creating HTML pages, at the same time writing coding for a particular functionalities what you have given, right? So all these things will be done. Now, last but not least, make sure technical team develop the application according to the requirement what we uh, assured to the client. Understood? Clear?
Yeah.
Right? So that we have to assure because this is a continuous process. You don't ask me like when it can be, right? It's a continuous process. This is not something in every stage. To what extent the project was done and all everything that we have to know. So if you want to know, first of all, you need to know the SDLC process, software development life cycle, analysis, planning, design, implementation, testing, deployment, delivery. So
Yeah.
that stage is required for you, wherein you need to learn that. Of course, that will be discussed in coming days. Again, what kind of model we want to use? Either it can be waterfall, it can be agile. So why are we going for agile? Why are we going for a waterfall model? Why are we going for agile? Right. So that is all something we need to know. Right. So next.
Okay.
And finally, last but not least, we are responsible of what we are committed to the client. That's what generally being a BA in a simple note, right? These are the activities being a BA you will be doing.
Okay.
So This is nothing to do with technology. This is nothing to do with them. Whatever the activities being a BA you have to perform is something this. Okay.
Okay.
Understood. Now, if you want to become a technical business analyst or if you want to become a technical BA, first of all, we should understand what exactly BA do. These are the activities you have to know first. You must be knowing this first. Unless until if you don't have this idea, it is difficult. Because it's not something technical BA means they only ask you to write SQL, they only ask you to write Power BA on that, right? It was not the case. First of all, you need to understand the fundamental role of BA and what activities we require to perform. Okay. That is the reason why nowadays there is a role nowadays which is prominently we are using is called business systems analyst.
Oh, okay. Is it a similar role to technical business analyst?
In an extension, that's what I'm saying. Having an idea of both business and technical. Understood. This is where business systems analyst means business knowledge is required, that functional knowledge is required, plus system knowledge is also required, means technical knowledge. That's how nowadays we are. Now, from your exam, from your profile, I say you already experienced in some XYZ, right? You're already there. So it is not related, because if anybody is asking about your respective profile and all that, you can answer it easily. Okay, you don't have any issues, right? So you can answer it. What is that you require? First of all, you require what activities being a BA we do. This is what you want. Am I right, Nikita? Clear?
Yes. Yes.
Plus, you required some knowledge over the technical perspectives, which is something like SQL, Power BA, etc. is what something you want to be known with. Am I right?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some sort of practical exposure is always needed. Simply learning SQL queries or Power BI basics or dashboards, that's not sufficient. There must be some case study or a project, whatever we can say. If I have taken on that, if you are working all these, so that you will be knowing about how you have to work, so that when you go for an interview, it is easy for you to explain if I am a technical business analyst or what are the job opportunities you are applying in future, so that you will be knowing about how and how this can be presented and all everything. This is what something you will be learning in coming.
Right. Okay.